Welcome guys to this lesson, how to add CSS to your HTML. So a browser will format the HTML document using information that is provided from a style sheet. And so there are three ways that this happens. We can use external CSS to style your HTML. You can use the internal CSS, and then we can use the inline CSS. External CSS is basically the first one is it allows each HTML includes a reference to an external style sheet, right? So you need to specify a sheet, an external document that is going to be a .css that you are referencing to style your HTML, and it's always going to be an external sheet. So the reference should be inside the head section of your HTML, right? And this can basically allow you to change the entire website by editing just one CSS. So if you have your CSS in one file, you can basically change the entire styling of your HTML website in one using just one sheet, right? And then the next one is your internal CSS. And the internal style is defined inside the style element, right? And this is found inside the head section of your HTML document. So remember, in the external CSS is going to be the reference to an external style sheet, but in the internal CSS is going to be the actual styling inside the style element, which is also found inside the head section of your HTML. And this one only allows you to style one HTML page. It cannot affect other pages, right? And this is advisable to use or if you want to have a unique style for that specific HTML page, right? If it's going to be a general style, you would want to use the external CSS format. The third one is the inline CSS, and this is applied to a single element in your HTML document. So it's applied element by element, and you can use it by targeting the HTML element using the style attribute. You have to add the style attribute to your HTML element that you are targeting. So these are the three ways that we can add styling, a CSS styling to your HTML. And we are going to be looking at examples of each of these methods. So let's look at the first one, which is the external CSS. And I'm going to just put a comment, external CSS, right? So again, I am going to create, and I'm in the index.html file, right? So I'm going to create a simple HTML doc. So I'm going to start by doc type HTML, and then I'm going to have my HTML, and then I'm going to have my head section, and then beneath this I'm going to have the body section. Okay, so let's have a header and a paragraph inside this. So I'm going to have an H1, which is a header. I'm going to say this is my first header. Okay, right, and I'm going to have a paragraph, which is a P. I'm going to put in lorem, which is a bunch of text, Latin text, right? It just gives me a placeholder to put because I don't want to type. So yeah, I have my header and I have my paragraph. So the next thing that I want to do is first let me refresh this so we can all see how this looks like, right? And then what I want to do now is to style this document, right? And because we are using the external CSS styling methodology, we have to create an external styling document. And then we need to link that document to this page. So the way we do it is in the head section, right? You are gonna put a link in here. So it's gonna have the link element, right? And in the link element, you're gonna have rel telling us that it's a style sheet, not a style, but a style sheet. This kind of tells you what type of file we are linking it to, right? And then the href is what is the name of this file. So we're gonna call it uh, style.css. Mind you, we have not created the file yet. So if I refresh this, nothing changes because there's no file called style.css. So the next thing that we are gonna do is to actually create the style.css. So I'm just gonna add style.css to this. So now I have my style.css in this, right? And I haven't created any styles in here yet. So it's still gonna be nothing, no styling. So we're gonna try and add some styles to this. So what I'm gonna do is I want to style the body, right? I want the whole body to be a different color. And then I'm gonna style the heading, and then I'm gonna style the paragraph, right? So let's do that in the styles. So to style the body, you just have to target the body elements, and then you have your curly braces, and then you have what? Background. Let's target the background color of the body, and then I'm gonna assign a color of aqua, right? Because that's the first one that my eyes. So now, if I refresh this, you can see that the background color of the whole body of your HTML has changed, right? So I can also style, say the H1, which is the header one that we have in here. I can change the color to, let's say, what kind of color would fit best? Brown, right? And then maybe I can say margin left because I want a margin on the left side. I'm gonna say 30 pixels. Okay, so if I refresh this again, you see that it shifted because there's a margin of 30 pixels on the left side of this, right? So you can see how we style the document just by having an external CSS file, right? So let's look at what the internal CSS file is going to look like. So what I'm going to do here is, and maybe I should do this, right? Let me just do this. I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'm going to take off this link, which is actually an external type. So we are going to do an internal CSS type. So we still have our two H1 and P elements in here. Let me refresh this so it's back to the default. Now we are going to add an internal style to this, right? So in the head section, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have the style element in here, and then I'm gonna have the styling in this block uh, of elements, right? So in this block element, so I'm gonna have first, I'm gonna style the body again. So I'm gonna have my body, my curly braces, and then I'm gonna put in background color. This time I'm gonna put in brown, right? And then my H1, I'm gonna say I want the color to be maybe white because that will best match it. And then margin left, I'm gonna say this time go 50 pixels. Okay, so this should be enough. So if I refresh this now, you see that the color changed to brown. You have your white heading, 50 pixels margin left, and then you have your paragraph, which we haven't styled. But yes, that is how the inline styling, I said the inline, the internal styling also works. It's just similar, but in here it only affects this document, right? So you cannot reference, if we had another HTML file here, we cannot reference the styling from that. It only affects this particular HTML document. For this one, which is the one I just commented out, if you wanted to use style.css in multiple CSS and multiple HTML files, you can just do it the same way. Just link your HTML files to this CSS style, just like we did. So you can use this style in multiple pages. And that's why you can basically edit an entire web page by just editing one CSS file if you have the external method of applying your styles. So the next one that we are gonna look like at, sorry, is your inline CSS. And I'm not gonna comment this out. I'm just gonna use the paragraph because we have not styled our paragraph. So I'm gonna use the inline styling to style the paragraph here. So in the inline styling, again, it's only applied to a single element in a single HTML document. So to style this paragraph, I'm just gonna go inside the paragraph element and add a style attribute here, and then gonna have your equal to sign, and then this, your quotation, right? And in here, we're going to apply the style. So I can just say color is going to have the same format. You're going to have your color, colon, and then your value, right? So I'm going to say what color fits best. Let's say green, right? So I want the color of my paragraph to be green, right? So if I refresh this, you can see green is like the worst possible color I could have chosen. So I'm going to try and fix this. And then instead of green, I'm gonna have to say, uh, it helps if you know some colors, maybe whatever this is, right? Okay, so we have this color, and this is more legible and visible. So we change the color of our paragraph. So if you wanted to apply multiple selections, you still have your semicolon, and then you can say, okay, let's also target text align. So I'm gonna do the text align. And if you don't know what these various attributes are, we have a separate section that we're going to be talking about these. So don't worry. I'm just going to try my best to explain as we go. So text align is to align your text in the center of the page. You want to do left align to the left side of the page, or whatever the container that we are having these elements in is going to align to center, left, right, whatever you decide. So you're going to see how this is going to look like. So let's say we want to align this center, right? So if I refresh this, you can see that it centers the text in the middle of the page, right? So this is the inline way of adding CSS to your document. And again, it only affects the element that you applied it to, right? And so another thing that you need to know is that you can have multiple CSS, multiple style sheets, right? You can have multiple style sheets and you can reference them uh, externally, right? In your documents, right? If you want to change your files, right? So this is just telling us how we can reference our CSS in our various HTML documents. So thank you for watching and see you in the next lesson.